Hello, welcome to Talking the Secret Doctrine. My name is Dr. Don Franklin Shepherd, and today we will be closing out the fifth stanza in the first volume of the Secret Doctrine. Once again, we are using H.P. Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine, published verbatim edition by Theosophical University Press, located out at Pasadena, California. Let's go ahead and take a look at the sixth sloka. We're starting on page 129, and we're closing with page 135. And let's read the sixth sloka directly. The Lapika circumscribed the triangle, the first one, the cube, the second one, and the pentacle within the egg. It is the ring called pass not, for those who descend and ascend, who during the kalpa are progressing toward the great day be with us. Thus were formed the arupa and the rupa, the formless world and the world of forms. From one light, seven lights. From each of the seven times seven lights, the wheels watch the ring. Now this is a very complicated passage, but it can be decoded step by step. So let's go ahead and do that here. The Lapika, these are the karmic recorders, circumscribed the triangle, the first one. So we know that the triangle are the three logoi, the first logos, the second logos, and the third logos. So we know that H.P. Blavatsky is talking about a ring pass not with the third logos. Let's continue. The cube, the second one. Well, we know that the cube is the combination of the three logoi plus the seventh layer of Paramatman, which is Oyahu, the one life. So we know that H.P. Blavatsky is placing a ring pass knot in the seventh layer of the mundane egg. So here's two ring pass knots. She continues. And the pentacle within the egg, the circle. Here she's describing the medium point between the upper three layers of the mundane egg and the lower four layers of the mundane egg. So we have a ring pass knot right there in the fourth layer of the mundane egg, which is dealing with the solar system. So now we have three ring pass knots being described in sloka 6. Now we know that this pentacle is relating to this higher three layers of the mundane egg and the four lowers of the mundane egg, because in the sloka she talks about the arupa and the rupa, the formless and the form. The point here is that H.P. Blavatsky is not simply talking about one ring pass knot. Throughout theosophical literature, there's many different ring pass knots being described, and as a result of their being described differently, we're dealing with different layers of a world system. Let's go ahead and see what she writes in her commentary here in part A. The esoteric meaning of the first sentences of the sloka is that those who have been called Lapikas, the recorders of the karmic ledger, make an impassable barrier between the personal ego and the impersonal self, the noumenon and the parent source of the former. Hence the allegory. They circumscribe the manifested world of matter within the ring pass knot. But we've got three ring pass knots here. We've got the ring pass knot up with the third logos, the central point. And it's a ring pass knot because the third logos tinctures the one life as the seventh layer of Paramatman and retreats. We have the one life, the seventh layer of Paramatman, is Oyahu, as a ring pass knot. Because in a certain way, it's actually with the sixth layer of the mundane egg, Adi Buddhi, that we really get the evolutionary unfoldment beginning. That sixth layer, Adi Buddhi, protects the seventh layer when we have the close of the Mahamanvantara, the great age, the 311 trillion year cycle. And we also have this third ring pass knot with the solar system. That is, we have the Kama Rupa of the sevenfold mundane egg as a type of barrier so that when the Mahamanvantara does come to an end, there's a special process going on in which that fourth layer of the mundane egg is having to separate from the fifth layer. And that fifth layer is able to continue onwards, but the fourth layer drops off. So there's 3 ring pass knots being discussed here. H.P. Blavatsky then, on page 130, goes on to talk about the one. We hear a lot about the one in theosophical literature, but Blavatsky actually has 2 ones. So let's take a look at what she says on page 130. Moreover, in occult metaphysics, there are, properly speaking, 2 ones. The one on the unreachable plane of absoluteness and infinity, on which no speculation is possible. This is the first logos. This is the immaculate white disk. And the second one on the plane of emanations. This is the third logos, the central point. In a way, it can also refer to the 7th layer of the mundane egg, as both are bright, shining points of energy. The former can neither emanate nor be divided, as it is eternal, absolute, and immutable, meaning the immaculate white disk. The second being, so to speak, the reflection of the first one, for it is the logos, or Ishvara, in the universe of illusion, can do all this. So we have 2 ones. Again, we have this idea of the first logos and the third logos. That third logos tinctures the 7th layer of the mundane egg, tinctures Oyahu as this grand being. And so we have 2 ones. We really have 3 and more in the secret doctrine. Let's see how this is described in the footnote on page 130. She writes, now Parabrahman is the one essence from which starts the existence of a center of energy. That is, from the first logos, we get a center of energy. We get this potential point that becomes active, which I shall for the present call the logos. Right, the center of energy is the third logos, the central point. It is called the verbum by the Christians. Here we're technically referring to the great central sun, the 7th layer of the mundane egg. And it is the divine Christos, who is eternal in the bosom of his Father. It is called Avalokiteshvara by the Buddhists. That is, once again, the 7th layer of the mundane egg. In almost every doctrine, they have formulated the existence of a center of spiritual energy, which is unborn and eternal, and which exists in the bosom of Parabrahman, the first logos, at the time of Pralaya, and starts as a center of conscious energy at the time of cosmic activity. Here, of course, with this Pralaya, we're dealing with the solar Pralaya, and we're dealing with the fact that the sun lives half of its existence below, half of its existence above. Now let's see how she talks about this 31415, again on page 131. In the second paragraph, she says, astronomically, the ring passed not that the Lipika trace around the triangle, the first one, so there's our upper 3 logoi, the cube, the second one, there's our 3 logoi with the addition of the 7th layer of the mundane egg, and the pentacle to circumscribe these figures. The pentacle, there's the combining link, the 4th layer of the mundane egg, connecting the 3 below, connecting the 3 above, the 4th layer being the sun, the solar system. It's thus shown to contain the symbol of 31415 again, or the coefficient constantly used in mathematical tables. So the 31415, this is describing the tenfold world system. That's why she refers to it as a tectactris. Let's go ahead and turn the page, and let's go ahead and read further about the Lipika and the Mahamanvantara. Here's what she writes at the very last paragraph. No spirit except the recorders, the Lipika, has ever crossed its forbidden line, nor will any do so until the day of the next Pralaya, for it is the boundary that separates the finite, however infinite in man's sight, from the truly infinite. So here we have, again, the Pralaya being mentioned, and it is a reference to a solar Pralaya, because here she's thinking about the 4th layer of the mundane egg, the layer of the solar system, where the Kama Rupa of the mundane egg drops off from the fifth layer of the mundane egg. Now, if we take a look, we can see what exactly she is referring to in regards to this when we turn the page once again over to 134. She is referring to the great day be with us, and we see in the second paragraph she writes, "The great day of be with us then is an expression, the only merit of which lies in its literal translation. Its significance is not so easily revealed to a public, unacquainted with the mystic tenets of occultism, or rather of esoteric wisdom or Buddhism. It is an expression peculiar to the latter, and is as hazy for the profane as that of which the Egyptians, who called the same the day, have come to us." So this great day is the close of a Mahamanvantara. It's the close of a great age. It's the close of a 311 trillion year cycle. And the close of this huge cycle is the compilation of numerous smaller cycles of births and deaths of a solar system. Let's just see how she writes about this down in the footnote on page 134. This is what she writes. "Just as the square is the symbol of the four sacred forces or powers, the Tetatris, so the circle shows the boundary within the infinity that to no man can cross, even in spirit, nor Devas nor Dhyani Chohans. The spirits of those who descend and ascend during the course of cyclic evolution shall cross the iron-bound world only on the day of their approach to the threshold of Paranirvana. If they reach it, they will rest in the bosom of Parabrahman, or the unknown darkness, which shall then become for all of them light. That is, Parabrahman is the immaculate white disk. The unknown darkness is Mula Prakriti. So the soul rises up into Mula Prakriti. The unknown darkness is the second logos. And then further up enters the immaculate white disk. This is what H.P. Blavatsky is referring to as the light in that footnote, as Parabrahman in that footnote. She continues, "During the whole period of Mahapralaya, the great night," that is, she's referring to the 311 trillion year Mahapralaya after the 311 trillion year Mahamanvantara, namely 311 trillion 40 billion years of absorption in Brahman. The day of be with us is this period of rest or parinirvana." So we have this 311 trillion cycle that she's referring to, and it's related to the third logos, that central point. It's related to the seventh layer of the mundane egg. However, it's also related to the fourth layer of the mundane egg. And that's why she closes out in 135 with this passage. She says, "The rest with us," as it refers to that long period of rest, which is called a parinirvana. As in the exoteric interpretation of the Egyptian rites, the soul of every defunct person, from the Hierophant down to the sacred bull Apis, became an Osiris, was osirified, though the secret doctrine has always taught that the real osirification was the lot of every monad, only after 3,000 cycles of existence. So what are these cycles of existence? Well, these cycles of existence are the third ring pass knot that she's talking about, and that deals with the solar system. So we know that she's dealing with the solar system here because she's talking about osirification. And we've already explained that osirification is that point at which the fourth layer of the mundane egg begins to separate from the fifth layer of the mundane egg. Now, the fifth layer of the mundane egg is reached through a stream from the seventh. The seventh reaches down into the sixth, reaches down into the fifth. And so when there's death, when there's the opposite process going on, the fourth drops away and rejoins the fifth. This is Osiris in his intellectual mode, in his Chayaloka mode. And then Osiris goes up into the sixth and the seventh, just as Avalokiteshvara is a stream of consciousness as well. So these 3,000 cycles of existence are referring to the cycles of a sun, of a solar sun in a solar system. Again, before closing, let me repeat. There are 3 ring pass knots being discussed in these passages. There is the third logos, the central point. There is the 7th layer of the mundane egg, and there is the 4th layer of the mundane egg. The secret doctrine is a marvelous, complicated philosophy. I hope this helps us understand it. It certainly gives us more to study and examine. Thank you so much.